Okay, so we're going to talk about quiz 3, which is going to be over solving absolute value equations, solving multi-step equations, and solving inequalities. So first of all, if we're talking about solving absolute value equations, if we look at an example, this is actually one of the problems that is going to be on the quiz. Absolute value of n plus 2 equals 5. So I know that whatever I get, excuse me, whatever I get after I solve this n plus 2, so I put anything in for n, as long as that absolute value, when I take it, will give me 5, then my answer is correct. So I know that n plus 2 has to equal either 5 or negative 5. So this is where we talked about setting up two equations. Always, always, always set up two equations. We want to get the absolute value by itself first. In this case, it is, so we can move right on. And then we want to set up two equations. N plus 2 equals 5, and n plus 2 equals negative 5. From this point, we just solve both equations by subtracting 2. And we get n equals 3, and n equals negative 7. Okay. What I don't want you to do is if you would have done this, okay, you did this part, and you get n equals 3, do not assume that your next answer is going to be n equals negative 3. All right, it's not going to end up being 3 and negative 3 all the time. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. So please don't do that. Go ahead, set up the second equation, and solve it. You might end up getting negative 3, and if you do, that's fine, but make sure you set up this second equation to be sure that you're getting the correct answer. Okay, if you're curious, if you don't know if you're right or not, you can always take this negative 7, put it back in here, make sure that it gives you 5. Take this 3, put it in here, make sure it gives you 5. In the chance, for example, we're going to have ones like this. So number 10 is an example. We want to get the absolute value by itself first. So what we need to do is add 5 to both sides. So you're going to end up with 5 plus 5n, and the absolute value brackets equals 50. From that point, you can set up your two equations. 5 plus 5n equals 50, and 5 plus 5n equals negative 50, and then solve from there. Okay? Next, we're going to have ones like these right here. Okay? These are going to be our inequality problems. So let's start with this one. Negative 85 is greater than or equal to negative 5 times 5 plus 4k. So for the first part of these, you're going to treat it just like it is an equation. Okay, it's not because it's in an inequality, but treat it like it's an equation. We want to distribute the negative 5 first, keeping our sign the same. And we get this right here. From here, we want to get k by itself, so we add 25 to both sides. Okay, so over here we have negative 20k. Over here we have negative 85 plus 25, which is negative 60. And then from that point, we want to get k by itself again, so we divide by negative 20. When we divide by a negative, okay, in this case we're dividing by a negative, we have to switch the sign. So we have k here, we switch the sign, and then negative 60 divided by negative 20 is positive 3. Now, the issue is I always want to put the k, or the variable, on the left side and put the constant on the right side, so that if I'm asked to graph it, which you will be in some of these problems, it's easier for me to do, because if I think of this as 3 is less than k, it's kind of hard to figure out, well, which way is the arrow going, you know, I'm not really sure where to go from here. If I can get k on the left side, then it's easily becomes clear. It's how we always talk about inequalities and always how we always think about them. So if I switch this, I want to take this basically and flip the whole thing over, including the sign. So I'm going to take my k and I'm going to bring it over here. I'm going to take the sign, which is pointing this way, and flip it over. So now it's pointing this way, and the 3 is on this side. So k is going to be greater than or equal to 3. So if I want to graph that, I have a number line, I have 3. Again, remember that since it's greater than or equal to, it is a filled in circle. And now since we put the variable on the left side and the number on this side, we just put the arrow whatever direction the arrow is pointing in our inequality. So it's pointing this way. So we're going to put our arrow this way. And that's it.